Good morning, viewers. Welcome to this morning session of EduSet. And as you know that today we are going to speak on nature and scope of social sciences. This is a text which pertains to your preparatory course in social sciences, that is PSS course. So we are going to talk to you and make you understand the idea about what social sciences is. And before we begin what social sciences is, we should understand about the background and the emergence of the social sciences, why it is necessary to understand our society, our cultures and different cultures and societies in order to improve the condition of human existence. Now, social sciences has several historical background to it, which pertains to what happened in the European countries. But when we talk in a very general sense, we have to understand social sciences in the background of philosophy of science. Philosophy of science is the general way of understanding social life or science of life, and how the methods, scientific methods, are applied to the study of society, cultures, values and social systems. These are things which which is very important in trying to understand how society can be studied. Now, when we talk about the nature of social sciences, we have to understand that social sciences emerged in order to understand how societies vary from each other, how human beings exist. It is a gamut of relationships about the behavior of human beings throughout the world, which is the subject matter of social sciences. And social sciences is something which borrows the scientific laws from philosophy of science, which is a compilation of all the scientific assumptions and preferences that scientists have made. They have tried to incorporate the scientific methods to the understanding of social reality, to the understanding of natural reality. And scientific method is something which is structured and which provides a tool to understand both the physical world as well as the social world. Now, when we come to the social sciences, then the philosophy of social sciences is very important. Philosophy of social sciences borrows the laws, scientific laws from the sciences. But when it comes to the study of social sciences, the laws are applied, but they are not imitated in the similar manner as to the understanding of the natural phenomena, because the subject matter of social sciences is something which is both complex, it is wide-ranging, it is ever-changing. All these aspects you will learn further, but before coming to that, we must understand the difference between the natural sciences and the social sciences. As I said, that the subject matter of social sciences is complex, it is wide-ranging, it is ever-changing. It is because the subject itself is being studied, like human beings themselves study themselves. We cannot say that social sciences is something which studies objective reality somewhere far away, distance from yourself. When you study society, when you study cultures or norms, values, in one way or the other, your own subjectivity comes into the picture. Now, in natural phenomena, things are more systematic, more orderly, and it is from the emergence of the sciences that social scientists have borrowed the idea that methods of sciences could be applied to the study of society. What is society now? And society is a web of relationships, patterned social relationships. It studies the social institutions, it studies social groups, communities and cultures. Now, these are aspects of society which are both simple as well as complex. You can understand these things by introspecting about your own culture, your own community and society, and try to understand how the individual and the society is interlinked. That is, the human being is intricately linked with the society in which he or she exists. Now, society is something which is made by the collection of human beings, but this collectivity itself has a existence of its own. As one of the most famous sociologists, the founding fathers, Emile Durkheim, he was from France, and he gave this idea that society is a collectivity which is sui generis, which is above the collectivity of individuals. The collectivity itself has certain power, certain coercive value which binds the society together, and in that sense the society is not a material force, it is a social force, moral force. And therefore he studied society and the ever-changing order in society, that how societies have evolved, developed, changed. Therefore social sciences have in their subject matter the understanding of social change and development, which forms the crux of the sociological studies. And sociology as a subject itself is overlapping with many other social sciences. No other social science also can say that exclusively they can remain away from other social sciences. For example, history borrows from sociology the understanding and the facts of contemporary phase, whereas sociologists borrow the data from the historians to understand what is present today. Therefore, there is an intricate relationship between the different social sciences. And before we discuss this thing, I invite my colleague Dr. Neeta Mathur, Faculty of Sociology, IGNOU, to speak further on this.
Thank you, Archana, and thank you also for providing such a lucid overview of what we are going to discuss in these 45 minutes in this session. Archana just told you that there is a distinction and there is also an overlap between science and social science. Now, before we proceed and before we talk about social sciences in a general sense and in a more specific sense and go into the details, let us understand what science is. Then we go on to understand what social science is. Then we will address the question, can social science be treated as science? Right? So let's understand the basic components or the basic attributes of scientific inquiry. What is science? Now, science is systematic study of a particular object or subject or resource or phenomena. Right? What is important is that the emphasis here is on systematic study. Right? Now, all scientific inquiries, all scientific studies are based on objectivity. What is objectivity? Objectivity means that there is no bias of the researcher involved in the research process that he or she is conducting. When scientists conduct an experiment in their laboratories, their personal bias, their gender, their caste, their economic status or any other attribute does not come into the performance of the experiment. Right? So if they are doing a titration or if they are mixing two chemicals to see the reaction, their personal bias does not come. Right? So there is, they perform an experiment and they take the reading, and from the reading they draw an inference, and from that inference theories are formulated. The third attribute of science is the use of measurement. Right? Scientific inquiries conduct experiments which are quantitative. Most of the scientific experiments are quantitative in nature. Right? So they are able to demonstrate graphs and figures that are very, very impressive to social scientists. Right? We just said that scientific inquiry draws a lot from experimentation. Now, after an experimentation is done and they are able to draw inferences about a particular phenomenon, it is possible for them, for scientists, to then proceed from those inferences to generalizations. So what happens in the course of framing these generalizations, it is possible to predict or foretell the course of events on the basis of observation, on the basis of logic, on the basis of experience, on the basis of the results of an experiment. Right? Now, let's see, consider the latest example of the tsunami. Right? After the tsunami happened, there were so many experiments that were conducted trying to inquire, trying to understand why tsunami came, when it will come again, which are the areas that are prone to tsunami in future, so that there may be preparedness among the people. So these are the generalizations that scientists can make. What about the research on, say, cancer? Right? So they do experiments, then they frame generalizations, and they are able to say that such and such an individual, or say diabetes, or any of these ailments for that matter, whether an ailment can be passed on through the genes, that is whether it is hereditary or not, what kind of diet, what kind of social and environmental climate would lead to a particular ailment. Now these are just examples, but these examples also bring to light something that I am going to explain to you in the latter part, or after a few minutes, how science interrelates or gets integrated with social aspects. But that we will talk about later. Before we do that, let us understand what social science is. We've understood what science is, let's now understand what social science is. Now, social science refers to or encompasses diverse aspects of society and their interrelationships. This is what Archana just told you, right? The focus then is on different aspects, and this focus on different aspects forms the basis of different disciplines. Now, if they are interrelated, if social sciences as a mode of inquiry, and there are disciplines, there are different aspects, and I am telling you that these aspects are interrelated, why should there be different disciplines to understand different aspects of society? But we know that there are different disciplines. We know there is something called, there is the discipline of economics, we know there is the discipline of history, there is the discipline of political science, sociology, so many others. The difference is that the focus in each of these disciplines is different. And it is this focus that forms the basis of differences between disciplines. Right? Now, in economics, for instance, what is the focus on? Focus is on mode of production, consumption, distribution, monetization. Right? But these forces of production, consumption, distribution are interrelated with social aspects. They lead to significant changes or significant implications in social relationships. So that's how, and social relationships is the core area of say sociology. Right? Economic resources also form the basis of power. Right? So, and power is the core of which discipline? Political science. So this is how it is possible, and this is a very, very simplistic perspective or simplistic example that I am placing before you, only for the sake of making you understand the interrelationship. Of course, the interrelationship is much more intricate and much more complex than this simple example can demonstrate. But through this simple example, please try to understand how one discipline can be so intimately interlinked with another discipline and with the third discipline. Right? Now, the interrelationship of these different disciplines with each other leads to a kind of a common perspective that is called, which is the social science perspective. Now, what's important then is to understand, to investigate, or to explore the question of can social sciences be treated as science? Can social sciences be treated as science? We have understood what science is. We have understood what social science is. Now the critical question is, can social science be understood as science? I will give you both pros and cons of this question, and then it's for you to judge, to say yes or no, or decide whether it is possible to say yes or no at all? Well, social science is systematic inquiry, right? It is not essentially objective in approach. We said in the sciences that it is objective. In social sciences studies are not essentially objective, they are subjective. The reason is that the reason is the same one that Archana told you, that human beings study themselves. You see, it's not two chemicals that one studies in social sciences. You know that it is possible to see them apart from oneself. They do not belong to human society at all. Now, social sciences study human beings. So it is in effect human beings studying themselves. Now, if one can argue that, you know, human beings from, say, India may be studying phenomena in the US. But a kind of subjectivity still creeps in, because one is studying human institutions. So, social sciences are not objective, sciences are objective. Social sciences are not given to experimentation the way sciences are, in the sense that in science it is possible to have a laboratory within the four walls of a building and conduct experiments through apparatuses. In social sciences, this is not possible, because the whole field, the entire human society is the laboratory. And it is not possible to have a control group and to have an experimental group, though in psychology it is attempted. There is a control group and there is an experimental group, but that's not what happens in social sciences in a general sense. Right? So, in social sciences, experimentation is not possible, does not happen. So, it's not science then. Subject matter is not inert objects or phenomena, but the subject matter is human beings for whom philosophy, values, beliefs, all these play a significant role. These, mind you and remember that these philosophy, values, beliefs do not play a critical role in scientific inquiries. Now, having said all this, one still wants to stress that one can think, is it possible then to discount social sciences as unscientific and say this is just not science, this is anything but science, because it is not objective, it is not possible to experiment, sometimes it is not possible to measure. Quantitative analysis is possible, but that's not the core of social science experimentation or social science research. The only argument that one can give in suggesting that social science can be treated as science is that it is systematic study, it is rigorous, and it is based on definite principles, theories, hypotheses. So it is not a random study. It is not just that, you know, social scientists can study anything anywhere. It's not that. There is a logic of inquiry, there is a process of inquiry, there is a full-fledged research methodology of social sciences. So it is in this sense that one can say that despite the fact that there is no experimentation, there is no very little of measurement, there is so much of subjectivity and not objectivity, that social science continues, can be treated as science. Now, when I just talked to you about subjectivity, and remember, subjectivity stands opposed to objectivity. Subjectivity means that internal biases or the position that one individual holds comes into play in the course of research or the interpretation of a phenomenon. Now, at one time, social sciences and sociology in particular were treated as science. This was the phase of positivism, when scientific inquiry had raised an awe in everybody's minds. People were awed by science, so it was felt that sociology, and as also other social sciences, are positivistic, are scientific. Over a period of time, over all these years, there has been a general shift in understanding. And can you guess what the present age is? In the present day, positivism is a closed chapter, right? Nobody says that social sciences and sociology in particular are positivistic in approach. That's nearly over. We are in an age of postmodernism. Postmodernism, in which it is accepted that there is no one singular reality, that there are multiple realities. Right? That what you see in society is liable to, or is amenable to, or it is possible to have many interpretations of that same phenomenon, and that all the interpretations are appropriate, are acceptable. Right? So then, let's go on to another question, which is, what is the basic unit of social sciences? Right? Why we have studied, why we should be studying social sciences, whether social science is a science and everything. But then, what is the basic unit of social sciences? What is it that we study in social sciences? Of course, I said, and Archana also told you, that we study different institutions, we study economic institutions, we study political institutions, we study all kinds of institutions, social institutions, marriage, kinship, everything. But then what is the basic unit from which all these emerge, and in the course of which these are studied? The basic unit of social sciences is society. Right? It is said that individuals cannot exist in isolation. It was Aristotle who said that it is not possible for an individual to exist in isolation, and an individual who exists in isolation is either God himself or the person is mad. No normal human being can exist in isolation. And the basic unit within which individuals can survive is the dyad. Dyad means two individuals. Now, in order that an individual survives, that it is possible to live and lead a life, there should be at least two individuals. Now, as individuals come together, the whole concept of family emerges. We are not going to discuss what a family is, but we know that husband, wife, their children constitute the basic family that we normally talk about even in our regular course of conversation, right? And then of course there is the extended family and the nuclear family and the joint family and the household and the kindred and everything together. Families come together, combine to form communities. Communities come together, combine to form society. So then, in effect, what is society? Archana told you that society is a web of relationships. Right? Now, how are these relationships governed? We must remember that these relationships are very complex. They are complex because it is possible, for instance, for harmony and conflict to exist together. Haven't you seen that in regular course of life, that two communities may be at loggerheads with each other, they may be opposing each other, they may be fighting with each other, they may be in conflict with each other, but at times, at an individual level, on a one-to-one basis, there is no conflict. Right? Same communities or same groups may be in conflict at one time and may be in perfect harmony and peace on another occasion. How would you explain that? It's very difficult. Because would you say that they are enemies or would you say that they are friends? This is the complexity of human relationships. There are roles, there are role conflicts. You assume the role of, say, a mother. In the office, you assume the role of an administrator. There is role conflict. Right? So, what is one? Now, if the husband is one subordinate, is the wife subordinate in office, in a patriarchal society where the husband rules or where the husband has greater authority at home, how does one adjust? What happens? Right? These are the complexities that I talk about when I say that social relationships are extremely complex. Society is also the system of norms, rules and regulations. Now just imagine if there were no norms, no rules, no regulations, it would be very difficult to survive. We normally think that, there should be no rules, the rules are too binding, we don't want to abide by rules, we want freedom. But if there was no basic set of rules or norms or regulations, we wouldn't know how to behave in a particular situation. We wouldn't know what to expect from the other person. We wouldn't know what the other person expects us to do. That is how, it is for this reason that norms, rules, regulations are important, because they provide a blueprint, they provide a script by which individuals can perform their roles, perform their duties. Society also performs a very significant function of extending mutual aid and control over individuals. You always would probably know that there is a lot of collective pressure that comes on an individual, pressure of society that comes on an individual that controls aberrant behavior at times. If there was no societal pressure, if we wouldn't be concerned how people would think about us, what they would say to each other about us, many of us would be doing things or performing activities that are detrimental to the smooth functioning of society. That is why I say society exerts a control over individuals. The third and the last aspect that I wanted to draw your attention to was the pursuance of common interests in society. When individuals stay together, they have common interests, and that's what they want to pursue. Think of say the tribal society in the northeast. Now they have common interests, they have objectives in mind which they are trying to pursue collectively. That is the power of society. Archana, would you want to intervene here?
Yeah, in fact, I would like to say the same things which you have mentioned in a different way. There are two ways of looking at how social sciences have dealt with the understanding of societies and why societies exist. Why do we exist in communities, in social groups, castes and classes? The reason can be explained in two ways. One is that society itself has emerged in a way to protect human beings, and in terms of living together in social existence, is the human existence possible, as Neeta has just now pointed out. This is one way of looking at society towards understanding its intricacies. Another way of understanding society is, as our sociologists have talked about, how the functionalist school of thought which existed in the sociology discipline explained human existence, society, by comparing it with the human body. Just the way as the human body exists, each part of the body, each organ of the body, it maintains itself, it functions itself towards the maintenance of the total human body. same way, different institutions in society, different orders, the groups, communities, they all function together in order to the existence of the total society. Now, this view was considered to be the consensual view. It gave emphasis on the coexistence of human beings in a consensual manner, in harmonious manner, whereas later thinkers like Karl Marx talked about the conflict aspect, the how different groups in society, they struggle together. All history is history of class struggle. That's what Marx had spoken about. And the way Marx explained society is using the historical materialism. We find that there is a close interrelationship between history, economics, political science and sociology. In his contribution, he was one of the founding fathers. Now, we are talking about the analogy of human body with the society, the way the functionalists have explained. And it was from this consensual existence of human beings in different societies, how they all functioned together and performed different tasks which were social in nature, like celebration of rituals. Now, religion is a very important aspect of all human existence. Human beings, just wherever they exist, have certain social institutions which are uniform and universal. Now, when Neeta was talking about how objectivity is very important in sciences, in the same manner, social scientists have borrowed the methods and tools of sciences, but they are very clear that we cannot apply these methods in toto on the study of societies. For the study of society, we have to invent, to discover new tools and methods to study the way social phenomena exists. Social reality is quite different from the natural reality. Now, in the nature, the things are uniform, objective, universally. When the earth moves on its axis, it takes 24 hours. Whether it is in America or India or Russia, wherever it is this natural phenomenon is studied, the result would be the same. Whereas in society, when we study social reality changes from one society to another. It changes from one age to another. Like in India itself, what happened in the ancient Indian societies may not exist in the medieval society. Maybe again in coming back in the contemporary period, but in a very changed form. We can study fashion. If we study fashion, we find that there is a cyclical change in the way fashion changes and develops. From the, for example, the way skirts are worn by women, sometimes it becomes very long, sometimes it becomes knee length, sometimes it becomes smaller. Mini skirts are in fashion. So fashion also goes in a cyclical manner. There are many things in society and cultures which vary from one culture to another, from one time to another. So what is that which concerns the social scientist? Social scientist is not in some way studying objective phenomenon to prove that this is how it is. The law of sciences is more universal in that sense, and when it changes many other thoughts and ideas regarding it, which is universally applicable. Whereas in social sciences, this universal applicability is not possible. Social scientists too understands the patterns, the persistent behavior of human beings and institutionalized behavior. There is this difference. So when a social scientist studies a phenomenon like, for example, child marriage or the practice of sati. Now, practice of sati was something which was there in India earlier, but now it is banned by the constitution. So, if there is somebody who commits sati, it is a crime, and it is looked at by society in a different manner. So values keep changing. It takes a longer time to change the values, whereas technology is changing very fast. So this disparity between the change of technology and the changes in the value system was given a term called cultural lag by a social scientist called Ogburn. Now, when we study society and we study patterns and dynamics which is taking place in society, we have to concentrate on this expected behavior which is ordered, which is expected, which is patterned. So in that way, if we study society in one culture, in one society, we can compare it with other cultures and other societies, which mostly social anthropologists have done in the past. And in today's world, we find sociologists are also studying the similar aspects using data from the ethnographic literature which existed earlier. In some ways, all these social sciences are intricately related with each other. Now, when we are talking about different social sciences, let me explain about political science, for example. Political science is the study of the way societies govern themselves, how they are structured, how these political structures perform or function. So when we are talking about political science, we are talking about the study of states and state organizations and political power. Power is considered to be the key factor in study of society by the political scientists. And the traditional political scientists had given importance to three aspects. One was the development aspect, second was the practical aspect, the third was the evaluative aspect. Now, development aspect is how different states have emerged, the governments have emerged, how from simple society, the chiefdom societies, states have come up, states have become more evolved, and this culmination, historical culmination of development of different political organizations is what is today called modern state. This is the development aspect. The practical aspect is the functioning of these political institutions, how the different government bodies function, what are the rules and regulations which govern them. And in the same manner, when we talk about the evaluative aspect, it is how these states and institutions are evaluated. They compare with each other. And social scientists have always debated on the issue of whether democratic society is much better than autocratic society, or autocratic society is much better than plutocratic society, and this debate has been going on since ages. Now, when we talk about economics, economics is, as Neeta had pointed out, about the way people they do their business in life, how material or the products are produced, they are consumed, they are distributed in society, how monetization takes place, which is what is exchange, the kind of exchange practices followed in different societies. All these are aspects which are governed by which are being studied by the economists. But economists are also bothered about the social aspect. So the classical economists were always convinced that human behavior was rational behavior, and harmony, social harmony was the crux of the discipline of economics, and how material values, material aspect of society was what concerned the economists. Now, as is evident that economics is in very significant way linked with sociology. Sociology and economics together can understand society in a very different way, and they can go to the roots of different structures in society. Now, as in political science also, it is believed that the state organization has a distinct impact on the development of those societies. So, state organization and societies, they are again very important to be studied, because the way the society is going to develop and change is very important. Now when we come to the sociology as a discipline, sociology also understands the generalized social facts. As I spoke about Durkheim's contribution to the understanding of social reality as social fact. What was it that he considered to be social fact? Now, if Durkheim was bothered about the variable, the changing aspect of society. So he talked about social fact which was exterior to the existence of individual. It exercised coercion, restrictions on the individual. It was the social restrictions. So social facts could be studied like objects, because Durkheim believed that the way we study, he also belonged to the functionalist school of thought and believed that the methods of biology could be applied to the study of society. And he believed that social facts could be treated like objects, and they could be studied in a very objective manner to bring out a scientific study of society. And in that sense, he studied the very interesting phenomenon of suicide, but not suicide as individual phenomenon. He studied suicide as a social reality which was there in depended on different social conditions in different societies. He talked about suicide rates, and these rates he talked about altruistic society, where the values, the norms of the society were so coercive on the individual that they did not feel that they were committing suicide. For example, the suicide committed by the soldier while at war to defend his nation was something which was honored by the society. Same way, sati was considered to be an honor on the woman who committed it at a certain period of time in the past. The same way, this egoistic society is something, a phenomenon which was present in societies where the bonds, the links between different individuals became weak. So the individual became alienated, depressed. So he or she committed suicide under those conditions. The third was when society was undergoing a certain state of normlessness. The value system which was holding people earlier was breaking down in certain conditions like say famine or political unrest, or suddenly getting too much of wealth which was beyond a person's ability to control. So in those conditions people committed suicide, and these societies were suicides were called anomic suicides. So Durkheim tried to understand social phenomenon in a scientific manner using the methods of biology, and this is how he tried to establish sociology as a social science. And the same manner economists have done, political scientists have done. So methods and the tools of methods, they are very important. And we find that there are two ways of understanding society which sociologists have discovered. One was the action frame of reference, the other was class analysis. And when you study social sciences further, you will come to know more and more about these aspects. I think I'll request Neeta to close the...
Yeah, I will just close with 2 or 3 points which are significant, as I think, on how can social science help, right? Social sciences can help because they are equipped with theoretical and methodological tools to help societies overcome the deficiencies in understanding the challenges that confront them, and through effective policy making. It is possible for social sciences to contribute in policy making, because social sciences, it is only social sciences that can provide definite socio-economic and cultural knowledge base that social sciences are based on. Now, with this, I think you would have understood why we need to study social sciences, and what is the content of social sciences, how social sciences are interrelated, not as disciplines among themselves, but also with sciences. Right? I hope you have cleared many of your doubts. If some of them remain, we are there to help you. Thank you.
Thank you.